Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great Saturday. Looks like nobody came to our little meet and greet this morning, so I thought I'd just go out to you. I'm working. I'm painting at the easel. If you have been following my work, there are 9 paintings, each based on a different color. What we have in front of us here is a 24 by 27 inch oil on canvas painting that is based on purple. It cuts it a little bit here because I'm working up close. This is going to be called Cowboys and Indians, and it is a very famous place in Arizona where I used to live and teach high school. And the Kachina dolls, the very large Native American dancer in the back. Here, let me get the light out of the way here. There we go. I collect those. They are this is the Eagle Dancer. He is the most expensive. I do not have him in my collection yet, but they are costumed figures that at festivals that dress up as different parts of their folklore. And this is the Eagle Dancer, hence our little eagle, which is up in here, a little faded out because of our lights. But anyway, join me. I am going to be working and painting. My painting technique is a very old master's technique. I am glazing. This entire painting was done in black and white. And now I am simply taking very, very thin, transparent layers of color and applying them over and over and over again with a drying medium, which allows the paint to dry very, very quickly and allows me to overlap colors. I paint in very pure color. I paint sap green, period. I paint alizarin crimson, period. I do not mix paint. When you put a layer of alizarin crimson down and then put a layer of sap green over top, something is going to turn brown. For instance, in this area, this is a combination of burgundies and greens and a little bit of yellow. So I'm just going to sit here and work, and you are welcome to join me and watch and enjoy the process. This is actually the first time I've painted live, and I'm going to be doing this periodically. You're going to be able to watch me put the paint on the canvas and actually participate in the process. So unlike normally, I'm going to sit here and be quiet, and I'm just going to work. And if you have any questions, certainly you can post those. They are, let's see if I can get them up here on my live feed. There we go. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments section. I will either try to answer them right now while I'm working, or I will certainly address them later after the comments are up and after I close out this live feed. So enjoy my time, and I guess just enjoy my time. I'm going to have some fun here. So let me switch to just the painting. There we go. All right. Essentially, at this point, I lied, didn't I? I do talk. Haha. Well, love me, love my voice. Anyway, essentially at this point, I'm really drawing. I'm not actually painting. I'm not putting gobs and gobs and gobs of paint on the canvas. I'm using a color and simply recreating all of the information that I want to be in the canvas. advantage of paint being very thin is that I can get it out of there very quickly. Now at this point I'm just what is called delineating where things go. Eventually, as you can see right there, I will be bringing out what's behind the subjects and what's going to be highlighted in front of the subjects, because this transparency and this ghost spirit painting is my trademark work. I want to be able to see what's behind objects because they're see-through, they're transparent. They're deceased ancestors, family loved ones, historical figures, fantasies, dreams, things you want to make real that aren't real, or anything that has transparent and shiny objects to it. Those are my trademark pieces in this work. Eventually, when my darks are exactly where I want them to be, I will go back and I'll pop the highlights out of this. And then we'll just tie the whole painting together. Bring them on camera. Oh. Hi, Marilyn. I was reading something. It said, bring you on camera. No, most of my people don't want to be on camera. How's the weather in Windsor? I hear it was pretty nice. I have got to get up there, I tell you. For those that aren't familiar, my mother is in Canada. She is 93. She has breast cancer, and she lives alone in our great big house. And the borders being what they are, I can't get up there. They have so many rules and so many finances and so many hotels you have to sleep in that it would cost between $2,000 and $5,000 to get up there. And good evening, Uniza. Uniza is my friend and fellow artist in Pakistan, and she does some magnificent portrait work. And we're just having a good time talking together and meeting. I actually have students all over the world, which is kind of nice. And I think everyone right now, Uniza, everyone right now is struggling with their composition. It's an interesting topic. I think that might be our next Tuesday topic. Composition, getting the painting right the first time. In answer to your question, I am just fine. Here, let's do this. The question was, am I fine? Yes, I am fine. If you saw my my former post, I am black and blue and green and purple and every other color you can think. I bruise so easily. My hands are like all kinds of purples and greens and everything, and so yeah, I'm fine. Just shoot them with cortisone and I'm back to normal. There we go. Yep, I'm good to go. It just it's a little irritating when the cortisone wears off and I get a little bit I have no strength, and you know, it's very difficult to open a jug of milk or pick one up or hold my cell phone or whatever, but you know, stick some cortisone in me and I'm good to go. So that's why the former picture, I thought you might appreciate what I go through to make masterpiece paintings. Artists must suffer for their art. Well, sometimes. This is hardly suffering, let me tell you. This is having some fun. Now see, eventually, as you can see here, eventually when I start popping in the highlights, this painting will just come to life. But it's a little soon. I just did this on purpose. It's a little soon to start popping these highlights in here because you can't see anything light if there aren't enough darks. And so right now what I'm working on is getting the darks down. And as you get to the highlights, the paint will be thicker and thicker and thicker on the highlights. But shadows are very, very thin. I'm just doing this area just for fun to show you how this thing is going to pop. I'm going to clean this light out and go back to my shadows. But there's an expression that you can't have light unless you have dark. So that's exactly what we want. We want as much dark in this painting as we can get. Let's see where I want to work. The hard part about this is that you want to work everywhere at the same time, and you can really only do that at the end of the painting, when the painting needs to have the push and the pull of all what's behind, what's in front. So it's almost as if you have to sort of start on the left side of the painting and work toward the right, and because it's so complicated and the shadows have to match in so many different places that, let's see, that you can get run away if you just try to do the whole painting at the same time. There we go. Now, right now, I'm just using dioxazine purple. I'm not mixing it with anything else except that drying medium, so that it's going to dry quickly, and then I can come back over and put layers on it. I'm not mixing any paint, and you can see that I'm not changing anything. When I put a shadow on or a layer of transparent paint over something, I'm not removing what was already there. I'm just changing the value, changing the lightness or darkness of it. It's a different technique from what most people are used to. Most people are used to mixing paint and putting it on the canvas. I much prefer it to putting paint on canvas because I can shift things. If I want things lighter or darker, I can just make that happen, and I don't lose the beautiful drawing that I already have on the painting. mix down in here. Get a little horsey to come out. This is a much slower process than most people's paintings. I have some friends that paint live, and things happen very, very quickly with their paintings, especially one person I know who generally paints flowers. So things start to appear very quickly, but this takes time. The main question is always, how long does it take you to do this, to do a painting? It takes about 2 to 3 days to lay out my concept, to decide what I'm going to paint, especially if it's a commission with a person. These are made-up people. But if it's a person that I'm doing as a commission, and let's say that cowboy was someone's great-grandfather, that has to be perfect. So that has to be photographically done. I do all my layout and all my drawing on the computer. I scribble. I don't do painting after painting and study after study like some people. I just lay out my concept on the computer. I print out an 8x10, and then I enlarge the image to the canvas, and then start drawing and start painting in black and white and sepia tone. The layout to get it to the canvas is about a three-day process. Then once the painting is completed, it will take about 7 to 13 days to do this glazing. And that's usually about an 8 to 10 hour day. Once I start painting, I just don't quit, which is a very bad thing to do if you have, if you're cramping up your shoulders and your muscles and whatever. You should get up, should take a break, should walk around, should stretch your fingers. I don't, because I just love what I'm doing, and I'm just sitting here doing it all day long. Time really, really flies when I'm doing this. I've been here, half hour, 45 minutes, and it feels like I've only got 5 minutes worth of paint on the canvas. To get some river going here in between my horse. Bryce, hello, my dear. How are things in Michigan? And I hope Mom is well. I didn't get a chance to answer your last comment, so it's been a little nuts here. Isn't technology wonderful? You can have people coming in and at you from all over the world, which is exactly what's going on here at the studio. I think right now with all this COVID, I hesitate to say nonsense, but it is getting on my nerves. With all this COVID stuff, I think that I would go cuckoo bananas more so than I already am. No comments. I think I would go crazy if I did not have the internet. My mother does not have a computer. My brother does not know how to Skype or Zoom or do anything. So I have the telephone plan, and I have to call them. But phone is not the same as actually being there and seeing someone's face and talking in person. And it's so lovely that you can talk to people all over the world at the same time, and for free if you have internet. as I said before, I'm just getting darker and darker with all my colors. I'll just layer them and layer them until I get whatever colors and tones I want to see. Let me get this clean. I want to see some sap green down here. There we go. I think I'm still... No, I gotta... Hang on a minute. Gotta raise my camera because I'm down in the bottom. There we go. Let's get some sap green down here. Now remember, this will be the purple painting, so I will go back and shift some colors eventually. And we have these rocks down here that we need to bring out. Let's see. Whoops. Put my brush in the wrong place. Hey, let's do this. Let's, this is fabulous software. There we go. This is OBS software, open broadcasting. I took a class with my with a good friend, and he taught us all to use the software. I have 3 cameras. I have one on my face, I have one on the paint palette, and I have one on the painting, and I can change those at any time. But it is fabulous software that allows me to teach with more than one angle. Now my painting is going to get tilted here on an angle, so let me get rid of my maul stick. Let me see if I can get that out of the way. Get back there, you. All right. It allows me to do a lot more things than just be live with one camera. And now you can see that, ooh, what you can see is my nose. That's the only problem. I inherited the Ives nose. It's a proboscis, and I don't like it being on camera diagonally, so I will try to keep my nose out of this business. All right. But this allows you to see that I'm going into the palette, I'm taking a little bit of paint, a little bit of this drying medium, which is up there in that little tub, and that's allowing me to put on some very, very thin layered colors. Let's get this little hill in purple. This little water has to come down in purple. Oh, that was creepy. That sounded like Bob Ross. Let's do a little thing here. Honey, Bob Ross says everyone can paint his way. I would struggle to paint his way for 2 reasons. First of all, when I paint, I have to know exactly where I'm going and what it's going to look like. I am very pre-planned and pre-organized. I don't have happy accidents and happy little trees. I have planned, organized paintings. And so, and as you can see, I'm very finite with my brush strokes. They go exactly where I want them to go. They're not slap happy. So I'm not sure I could do the Bob Ross thing. That line is too strong there. Let's tone it down. All right, let's see where else we can go to pull some stuff out. Oh, he needs some pants. And let's see. Now you can see that everything is here it is all there. It's just not dark enough. It's just his arm has to come down in here a little bit darker to be pushed back. So layer after layer after layer, we're going to get darks. Let's see where we need to go. We need to go in here. Hello, Gregory Rutherford. My husband is tuned in from the National Park Service. Shh, he's working. It's raining here in Tennessee, and he works for the national park. And obviously, maybe there aren't as many tourists today because obviously he's hanging out in the break room. Gregory, this is where you write something really wonderful about how good an artist I am. Ha ha. Our art gallery is closed. Well, pretty much closed. It's winter and we're in off season, so we never do much business in the spring except for locals. Locals like to come out when the tourists go home. But, my income is way down. And Gregory would like to see me sell some paintings. Working on it, hon. Isn't this fun? This is so fun. If you are an artist and you have a wonderful painting that's working, but something isn't dark enough or light enough, you can use this glazing right over your existing painting and just shift your tones. Shift your lights, shift your darks. You don't have to repaint the entire thing to make it work. That's usually when someone goes in to fix something and they end up with either mud or they've ruined the beautiful painting that they already had. I'm not changing anything that I didn't already have on this painting. I'm just shifting the values and shifting the darks and the lights so that I can make these objects pop out from background to foreground. That's what's so nice about this glazing technique as opposed to grabbing gobs and gobs of paint and ending up with a big bucket of mess. And as I said, it's not a fast process. I mean, this painting is going to come together over several days. I think I'm on day 5, on this painting. Let's see. Mr. Horse, we need some nose. There we go. In order to get his nose to come out, we need to make it dark enough in the background so that this snout will pop out when I put some highlights on it. There we go. Up in this area, let's see, we need to move the camera. There we go. We have his eagle feathers that come out of his arm. These feathers will what is called juxtapose or move their position within the relationship to each other, and these feathers will have to be worked on to be able to come out of his arm. As I said, this is the most expensive kachina to buy. Even a very small one, maybe 7 inches, could be $400. The Eagle Dancer is, I've actually considered making one of my own because, I think I know how. I think I have enough talent to make my own. But It wouldn't be authentic, of course. But there we go. And we do have a shadow. Let's see. Whoops, it's not going to work. I actually have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I have 4 paintings on the go right now. I have not started orange yet. I have it laid out, but I haven't started it yet. I have brown, I have purple, and I have blue. For any of you that watch some of the other videos, you might have seen those. And the blue one is a young lady, she's in bare feet, but she's sort of doing a ballerina pose with a marble statue. I use a great deal of my own photography, always. The one thing you do not want to do as an artist is copy. If you are doing your own photography, that's fine. If you're using a concept, that's fine. But why would you want to paint something that somebody else did? First of all, it's illegal. Even if you're doing it for yourself and saying, well, I'm just going to hang it in my house. Well, yeah, but if the guy finds out, or the person finds out, they can sue your pants off you. Secondly, if you have a concept, you can create your own painting. This is a good time to mention that I am recording classes and getting art classes ready for sale. I don't teach make it, take it, meaning you're all going to sit down and everyone is going to paint the same flower. I don't teach that way. I teach technique. Like, for instance, this is a technique. This is glazing. And I teach that. Or I teach a subject matter. I teach proportion. I teach how to mix the paint combinations that make beautiful skin tones. I do not teach everyone to paint a rose. I'm going to teach you how to paint the highlights, the shadows, what combinations, how you get them to mix together. And that way, it doesn't matter what you go home and do. So many of my students have said, well, I took a class and the teacher said, put some green in there, and oh my gosh, it made it look good. But I can't do it again. I don't know why it worked. She didn't tell me why I should have put it there. And when I got home, I put the painting in the closet and I've never painted again. Well, that's because you were not taught to paint a technique. You were taught to paint a rose or paint a tree or whatever. And that's you know, I'm not putting down the wine thing, because, hey, we all got to sit and paint and drink some wine every once in a while. But that is not what I teach. I teach you to do a thing, and then you can repeat that thing over and over and over again. And that is how my classes will be. So when people come in and say, can you teach me to paint? Well, there are a lot of ways to learn how to, whoops, sorry about that. I went down into the corner. There are a lot of ways to paint the same subject with different techniques. And as an artist, you will find what works for you. You will find your special technique. I love doing this. This is just so cool. Now, I don't do this when I paint my portraits. The portraits are all painted with mixed paint. Good morning, Sharon. How's life in the big city in Canada? I was looking for houses in Canada last night, and Perth came up. Hey, I know where that is. That's where my good friends live. It's coming. some fun things are beginning to happen. Things are starting to push, they're starting to pull, things are going back. Like I said, the highlights will be the last thing that'll go in. We'll actually kick those up at the very end, and they will be much more thick paint than this. To get this back. See, by just adding a glaze in this area, and I'm just using a very dark, rich dioxazine purple. I'm not mixing paint. It's very thin. It's mixed with the drying medium, and all I'm doing is taking this whole area down so that this cactus will pop forward. It's called light against dark, dark against light. If you want something to pop, you have to shift the values. If I want that cactus to come forward, this water back here cannot be the same value as the cactus. It has to be just a little bit darker. And just by a thin glaze of purple, I now have this cactus popping out a little bit. Go all the way down. If I want these ropes to pop up, I need to make the separation between them a little bit darker. I want my horsey nose to come out. He's got to have shadow underneath his neck. And you can see that I'm not painting out what's already there. These beautiful lines and these beautiful oranges and these yellows, they're already there. I'm just taking them all down a little bit darker. Whoops, a little bit heavy. Again, glazing, that's easy to get rid of. We have a whole bunch of little cacti down here. If you weren't watching the beginning, I lived in Arizona for 4 years. I taught high school there at Scottsdale High. Did my teacher's training in Tempe. I lived in Tempe. Loved every minute of it. I went from Canada to Arizona. How sublime to the ridiculous can you get? And I love the desert. There are so many flowers and so many things that you don't realize are there until springtime when they all bloom. And this location, this is my photography, this location is up near Payson, up in the mountains, and it's a real, this set of mountains back here. It's a very famous place, and there is a lake on the bottom of it. Again, I use my photography. There we go. I try to make all of the edges of my paintings, all the outside, a little bit darker. That keeps the viewer in the painting, instead of having like this big bright white out here. I will tone that down, kind of a vignette, and that keeps the viewer's eye in the painting and not lost out into the surrounding area. So when I'm done, I will probably glaze an entire vignette around the outside and tone it down a little bit darker. Keep your eye on the canvas. That's where you want your people to see the painting. You don't want them to leave the painting and look somewhere else. So that's coming. Let's see. Oops. Wait a minute. Fun part about cameras are it's left to right instead of right to left. Let's back up here a little bit. So it's coming. Even if you were probably to roll the tape back and look at the beginning, you'd probably see a great deal of difference from where we were before. And as I keep working, I will be posting the paintings from beginning to end, because people like to see that. They tell me they enjoy it, and they do look forward to seeing the changes from day to day that happen. This is a feather coming out of our guy. Let's see where I need to go with him. He needs to go this way. Whoops. There's another one back here. This is the key one. All of this area up in here are all feathers, so they will take more time. They will have to be done at the very end because of all the fluffiness and whatnot. And let's see, we have another one over here. I'm still only painting with the combinations of that purple. A little green is mixed in with it. As you can see, I don't clean my paintbrush even, unless I'm changing dramatically from light to dark, because there is no such thing as pure color in life. There's no reason that I should be cleaning this brush. If I want this to shift to a little green, I just need to stick it a little harder in the green. I don't want my paintbrush washed out every single time, because on top of it, this paint is so thin that if I were to stick it in the turpentine and clean my brush every 5 seconds, it is very, very possible to suck the paint off the painting. And I don't want to do that. I like where the paint is. I have to decide how to get our valley down here. Let's see. There we go. Push the valley back. Bring the trees and the hand a little bit forward. And most of this is dry. I can actually, go like that and there's no paint on it because that drying medium will keep the paint very, very dry very quickly, rather quickly. I would say in about an hour this whole painting would be dry. But I like it a little tacky so that I can scrub the new colors in here. We need some ear. Let's see, this has got to go this way. Bloody amazing, eh, Sharon? Thank you. I appreciate that. That and being terribly Canadian. Everything is bloody. I am too, for those that, well, I'm dual citizen now, so. Sharon, I know you're looking forward to seeing the blue painting. I've only got a little bit of paint on that one since we last met, but I have all 4 paintings sitting here on the easel, and I need to get to work because now this cloth that he's wearing around, this fabric that comes out between the legs of the Indian, this right now it's very flat. It needs to roll. It needs to look like it's going up and in and around. So in order to do that, we need to give it some highlight, give it some chance to come up like that, some shadow underneath it. And back in here. then when I do come back with some highlights, I'll be able to make that look like it's starting to roll. It's funny, when I trained in portraiture from some of the best competition artists in the Professional Photographers Association, because photography oils have very strict, somewhat strict rules about how portraits should look, but I was always taught the bigger the painting, the bigger the brush, and I just can't. As you can see, I'm not using a very big brush because I'm just drawing. If I were to attack this with, you know, a house painting brush, I would have one gigantic mess, because my style is to work very slow, work slow enough that I can keep building up the details. Now, let's, just for giggles, let's clean this out. And let's, oops, hit my camera, sorry about that. Let's just do a little playing here with some yellow. Now, I don't want this too thick too fast, because we could get into trouble very, very easily. Let's thin this down just a bit. What I'm doing is taking off a lot of the paint so that it's just a very, very thin application. All right, let's see here. And you have to be very careful when you put the highlights on top of a shadow, because you will get what is called milk. I mean, if I were to just put this over here, this light color would just go so white. You can see that, I hope. That is just very, look at that. It's milky and white and very blue. Believe it or not, white is a very blue. If you add white or black to a painting, your painting will turn cold and blue. So what we have to do to counteract that is make sure that when I'm putting in a highlight, that I have a very deep, warm color. So instead of that yucky, milky blue, I need to bring that back into a very rich, rich yellow. And now it looks like yellow. It doesn't look like milk. You have to be a little bit deeper in your value. I very rarely use white in a painting because sunlight is yellow. Moonlight is blue and white. Right now I'm actually painting with a flesh color. It's coming out a little bit yellowy on the painting, but there's no accounting for internet and cameras. And of course, as the painting gets finished, I will have to come back in here with a small brush and start with details. Very important details. These are called Saguaro Cactuses. Spelled kind of funny. I was always told it took 100 years to grow the center stem and 75 to 100 years to grow each additional arm. So they're very old. Oop. Not straight. Well, I think I'm not going to put any more highlights in yet because I'm not quite satisfied with the amount of dark and I don't want to end up with mud. But I just wanted to pop a few in there to get you an idea of where things will start jumping out when I'm ready. And I think with that, I'm just going to bid you all adieu for the day, and I'll come back at a later time and show you how this turns out, because as I say, it's going to take quite a few days to get all of this detail in there. Give you a little brim there, dude. All right, so you have a lovely Saturday, and I'll come back and we'll show you the progress as I can get some 5 minutes to work on this. Bye.